Freeman once famously said that nobody knows how to make a pencil. He said this during a lecture, and people were really interested in what he had to say because a pencil is something that we take for granted. It seems very simple enough. You see these all over the place, or at least we used to, before computers, before people started using computers for word processing. But pencils, seem simple enough. But he's right. Not one person knows how to make a pencil. You need somebody to mine the graphite. You have another person who processes the timber for the wood. You have another person who processes the rubber, and then there's the entrepreneur who brings it all together. And this is the beauty of the free market. This is people with different specializations coming together to make a product. Another example is manufacturing a car. You have the computer chips, you have the rubber from the tires, you have the metals, you have the engineering, et cetera, et cetera. These abstract products that come together, they do so because people specialize. And like I said before, that's the beauty of the free market. It allows for people to specialize and to, you have the accumulation of things like capital. You have laws that are in place that protect people's property rights, etc. So there's a problem with this, though. And what happens is that everybody has a tendency to specialize. What people have a tendency not to do is integrate wide areas of knowledge. So somebody who specializes in mining graphite doesn't really know hardly anything about rubber, and vice versa. And this goes for abstract things. So the math teacher isn't good at language arts, for example. And the only two areas that bring wide swaths of knowledge together, one is philosophy, but there's no profession of philosophy unless you want to teach it. And the other one is politics. And this is a problem because, number one, when the government gets involved in everything, well, then you have to know everything because everything becomes policy, right? If the government is involved in healthcare, or in the case of Canada and the UK and other countries, the government is running the healthcare system. You have to be sort of an expert in healthcare, right? And you're elected. Or if you're, in local government, and you're talking about land management or, school board policy, you're talking about educating people, all these different areas of knowledge have to come together in politics. So one way to solve that is just to get the government out of it. If the government's not involved in education, not involved in land management, not involved in healthcare, then the politicians don't have to, quote, be an expert in those areas. The other thing is that it becomes a problem because, in today's system, because, you're fighting against a system that knows a little bit of everything and knows what the left hand, what the left hand and the right hand are doing, but the average citizen doesn't. So, they're really in the dark about how the whole system runs. So keep this in mind. If you really want to make a change, if you want to control your environment, and if you want to get involved in politics, you really have to know a little bit about everything.